It's 5:47 a.m. in suburban Nashville, and Sarah stares at her phone screen, scrolling through another wave of breaking news, work emails, and social media drama. Her coffee grows cold as anxiety builds in her chest. 3 states away in Denver, Marcus grips his steering wheel in traffic, replaying yesterday's argument with his teenage son. In Dallas, Jennifer lies awake wondering if she'll ever feel truly at peace again. Sound familiar? In a world that never stops shouting, where anxiety feels like the new normal, and peace seems like a luxury you can't afford, Psalm 15 whispers something revolutionary. Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? This isn't just ancient poetry. It's God's blueprint for the unshakable life your soul is desperately craving. Imagine trading your daily spiritual check-ins for something deeper, actually living with God, instead of just for Him. Picture waking up tomorrow not wondering if you're good enough, but knowing you're already home in His presence. This isn't about earning gold stars in Sunday school or impressing people with your Bible knowledge. It's about discovering that God's sacred tent isn't a building you visit on Sundays. It's the posture of your heart that transforms every ordinary Tuesday afternoon into sacred ground. When King David wrote about dwelling with God, he wasn't describing a weekend retreat or a mountaintop experience. He was painting a picture of radical intimacy, the kind where God's presence becomes your permanent address, His peace your default setting, and His truth your inner compass no matter what chaos erupts around you. The psalmist describes a life marked by integrity that runs soul deep. The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart. Remember Marcus sitting in that Denver traffic? Later that day, his construction crew discovers a costly mistake in the foundation, one that no inspector would ever notice. Marcus faces a choice that will cost him thousands. Fix it quietly and eat the profit loss, or let it slide like everyone expects. But Marcus has learned something powerful through months of dwelling in God's presence. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. When you're secure in God's love, you don't need to cut corners to feel valuable or successful. Speaking truth from your heart isn't just about avoiding lies. It's about letting God's reality become your reality. It's choosing to see yourself through His eyes instead of the world's measuring stick. When you speak from that place of truth, your words carry a weight that can shift atmospheres and change hearts. It's Marcus going home that evening and apologizing to his son, not because he had to, but because truth-telling had become his natural response to conflict. The psalm continues, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor, and casts no slur on others. Back in Dallas, Jennifer catches herself mid-sentence at the office coffee machine, about to share juicy gossip about a coworker's messy divorce. Something stops her, not legalism or fear of getting caught, but love. She's learning that her tongue isn't just a communication tool. It's either a weapon that wounds or a balm that heals. Your words today will either build bridges or burn them down. In a culture addicted to outrage, hot takes, and Twitter feuds, choosing to speak life over judgment is a radical act of faith. When you guard your tongue, you're not just being nice. You're reflecting the God who spoke the universe into existence with words of power and beauty. This hits different in 2025 America, where the psalm calls us to despise a vile person, but honor those who fear the Lord. And we live in a culture that celebrates wealth without character, fame without virtue, and influence without integrity. The psalm flips the script, asking us to honor the single mom in Phoenix who works 2 jobs and still finds time to volunteer at church over the influencer with millions of followers but no moral foundation. It's choosing to admire the elderly man who visits nursing homes every Tuesday over the celebrity whose marriage is falling apart but whose brand is booming. It's seeing greatness in the teacher who stays late to help struggling students, not just in the athletes who dominate headlines or the politicians who make the loudest promises. Then comes the beautiful challenge of faithfulness. who keeps an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind. Sarah, remember her from Nashville? She promised her teenage daughter she'd be at the state championship game. But then her boss schedules a crucial client meeting at the same time, one that could determine her promotion. The old Sarah would have made excuses, rationalized, and broken her word. But this Sarah, who's learned to dwell in God's presence, understands that faithfulness isn't about convenience. It's about character. When you become a person of your word, something beautiful happens. You stop being tossed around by circumstances and start becoming the kind of person others can count on. Your yes means yes, and your no means no. In a world full of broken promises and shattered commitments, your reliability becomes a lighthouse in the storm. The Psalm's call to generosity resonates powerfully today. Who lends money to the poor without interest? Who does not accept a bribe against the innocent? And this isn't just about financial ethics, it's about seeing your resources as tools for blessing, not weapons for control. When you hold your money, time, and influence with open hands, you're reflecting the generous heart of God who gave His best for you. It's the business owner in Atlanta who pays fair wages even when competitors cut corners. It's the lawyer who takes on pro bono cases, not for the tax write-off, but because justice matters more than profit margins. It's recognizing that everything you have, your suburban home, your 401k, your social media platform, is a gift to be stewarded, not a throne to be protected. And then comes the promise that changes everything. Whoever does these things will never be shaken. Never be shaken, not because you're invincible, but because you're anchored. Not because storms won't come, they will, but because your foundation is the rock of ages. Not because you're perfect, but because you belong to the perfect one. When the next economic downturn hits, when relationships fail, when health scares arise, you won't be destroyed because your identity isn't built on things that can be taken away. You're rooted in the unshakable love of a God who calls you His beloved child. This isn't about adding more rules to your already overwhelming life. This is about discovering that the peace you've been chasing through achievements, relationships, and experiences has been waiting for you in the simple act of coming home to God's presence. Today, wherever you are, whether you're stuck in traffic on I-95, sitting in a cubicle in Chicago, folding laundry in small-town Kansas, or lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering how you'll make it through another day, you're invited to make God's presence your permanent residence. You don't need to have it all figured out first. You don't need to clean up your act before you come close. Sarah doesn't need to solve her anxiety before she can dwell with God. Marcus doesn't need to become the perfect father first. Jennifer doesn't need to master her thought life before she's welcome in His presence. You're invited to dwell with Him exactly as you are, with all your mess and questions and broken places, and let His love do the transforming work from the inside out. Because when you finally stop visiting God and start living with Him, you discover something beautiful. You're not just surviving life, you're thriving in it. And in a world that's constantly shaking, where uncertainty feels like the only certainty, that's not just good news. It's everything your soul has been searching for all along.